Nah, I beat Canelo on me. After I fight SHAWN, I'm trying to look for that fight Canelo. I'm gonna call Oscar bluff.
Errol Spence said he's gonna call Oscar De La Hoya's bluff and beat Canelo's ass. Ooh. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego in the back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. Ooh, we got a good one today. Errol the True Spence Jr., he just said he's going to beat Canelo's ass. He said he's not playing after the Porter fight. He said Canelo can get it. He's not worried about it. He's not pressed about it. I have the actual quote written down, and this is what Errol the True Spence said. He said, I beat Canelo's ass. After I fight Shawn Porter, I'm going to try and fight Canelo. I'm going to call Canelo's bluff, or I'm going to call Oscar De La Hoya's bluff, is what he said. So I beat Canelo's ass, man down. After I fight Shawn Porter, I'm gonna try to fight Canelo. I'm gonna call Oscar's bluff. And he said it with the straightest of faces. You guys seen the clip at the beginning, so let's talk about it. For one, I commend Errol Spence. He a dog. Nasty dog. Errol Spence really wants smoke. You know, he been calling out literally everyone in his division. Obviously the most at welterweight. The most complex fight for him to make is the Terrence Crawford, for obvious reasons. You know, Terrence Crawford, who he's aligned with and whatnot. You know, Errol posting this picture, this him right there, obviously playing soccer. He said, I average 4 goals a game. They made me move up 2 age groups. I'd probably be playing for Barcelona or some shit if I would have kept it up. I'm shaking my head. The coach always stand next to the coldest player taking pics, and it's him. So the reason I'm showing you this is because he's been in sports for a young age. It teaches you discipline, you know, coordination, you know, and it just so happens now he's not on a team sport. He's on a sport, and he kicked a goal. I don't know if you guys seen this, like for the Gold Cup. He kicked a goal. And when I seen him at the Charlo fight with Brandon Adams, he was there, and next door in Houston at the NRG Stadium, they had a Mexico soccer game going on. But anyway, it shows you that he's athletic, and he's been athletic, and he's been into, you know, competing, and that's important because in boxing it's survival of the fittest, and that competitive edge can push you further if you have it and your opponent doesn't have it. And one thing I notice about guys like Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, Floyd Mayweather, Andre Ward, and even Deontay Wilder, you know, they all have different fighting styles. But one thing that draws them similar, like a common denominator, is they are intensely and insanely competitive. They're competitive. They want to beat you at everything. They want to be the best. They want to be regarded as the best. And I like that. And I see that with Errol Spence. He wants to smoke, free smoke Jr. You know what I'm saying? He called out virtually everybody of note. You know, even before Terrence Crawford was at welterweight, he had been calling, you know, on Keith Thurman's bumper, pause, Danny Garcia, Shawn Porter, which you see on the screen. It looks like that's the next order of business. I dropped a video earlier this morning when I was near with Errol Spence at the Charlo fight. He said it should be announced soon. A lot of fans, y'all got to fall back with that. Like, a lot of fans like, oh, what's taking so long? And just wait. You know what I'm saying? Like, people act like it's the end of the world. Like, everybody involved is saying it's going to happen, from Shawn Porter, his team, and to Errol Spence. So, you know, I'm not even really worried about it. I'm just glad it's happening because it's a good fight. But, you know, whatever particulars they're still figuring out. As far as Errol Spence and Canelo, it's a really good fight. And the Canelo man fans are getting a bit ridiculous. I'm a fan of Canelo, of what he represents. He's a good ambassador for the sport. You know, takes care of business, trains hard, skilled. You know, I love it. I think I enjoy watching Canelo fights. You know, there's no mystery. I've said that before. But, you know, a lot of people hold these fighters in the craziest of regards and start trying to make all these weird comparisons and parallels and different things like that. And it's hilarious to me. It's hilarious to me that a lot of people just don't understand boxing, the sweet science, and they don't know it. But I think Errol Spence versus Canelo is a terrific fight. You know, it's a crazy fight. In me personally, in boxing, my dad was in the military, so I prefer like an order of operations, a chain of command structure. So I don't think fighters should just jump up and weight classes and stuff. So me personally, I would like to see Errol Spence continue doing what he's been doing at welterweight and, you know, keep winning, and then God willing fight Canelo, you know, because I think that makes the most sense instead of like these radical Amir Khan, Kell Brook weight class jumps and stuff like that. But when it does happen, I think it's a hell of a fight. But if, you know, I'm also at the same point, the same treatment that I gave Mikey Garcia, I'm giving to Errol Spence. If this is something he got to get off his chest and he really wants to fight Canelo and he don't want to wait, you know, I would never hold anyone back from their potential greatness. But that's a bomb fight, man. That's a good ass fight. Like Mikey Garcia, he kept saying Errol Spence's name. At first, I wasn't like, I was like, nah, he's just clout chasing. You know, he don't really want it. But he said he did, you know, and he just kept doing it and kept doing it. And as a result, you know, he got what he was looking for. So if Errol Spence really wants to fight Canelo and he's talking about he'll beat his ass and stuff, then I hope they make the fight, you know. I think it's great. I think it's a great fight. But let's talk about the fight. A lot of people don't know shit about boxing, and, you know, naturally through affiliations, who they don't like, you know, race plays a part, different stuff like that. They're not going to give Errol Spence a chance. I'm just seeing the comments and stuff. A lot of people are talking about this as a hot topic in boxing. And they're like, oh, Spence couldn't even stop Mikey Garcia, this, that, and the third. I think he could have stopped Mikey Garcia if he was pressing for that. But see, boxing is a one-on-one sport, mano-a-mano, and it's so fickle with the fans. It's hilarious. You know, when the Charlos are knocking out people, then they're on top of the world. And then if they go the distance, then, oh, they can't beat this fighter. Boxing doesn't work like that. Jamal Charlo, when he knocked out Hugo Centeno, it looked destructive. It was like, oh, shit. You know, he looked ferocious. But then he was in there with the crafty fighter with Brandon Adams, who kind of was looking to survive, felt what he was up against, and he was like selective of his shots and his offense, really selective. And he was getting low to the ground, moving, and you know, good defense and stuff, and shots were grazing by him, you know. So he wasn't gonna win like that in Houston. So he did enough to stay in the fight and not get, you know, mortally wounded, but he also wasn't gonna win the fight like that. So then people say, oh, Charlo, he can't beat this and that. That's not how that works, because styles make fights. Brandon Adams clearly had a chin, you know. People looked at his loss, but maybe he just got caught. Maybe he had different training camps. Maybe he had to rededicate himself. Who knows? You know, you can't train your chin, but at the same time, you could, you know, accept the wrong shots and you have the skills to dodge them, but you had a poor camp or whatever happened with the Thompson fight. It is what it is. But since he won the Contender, he looked like he gotten better, period. So you can't attribute Brandon Adams' performance to anyone but Brandon Adams, because not everyone fights like Brandon Adams. Not everyone's in the same shape. Not everyone has the defense, you know, because one thing people are saying, oh, Jamal Charlo couldn't even stop, he couldn't even stop Brandon Adams. So X, Y, and Z about Canelo. Canelo ain't Brandon Adams. You can say he's a better fighter in this regard or whatever. He's a bigger part, whatever. But there are differences, like Canelo's stamina. Canelo's stamina against bigger fighters like Danny Jacobs, he started to lose form by the 4th, 5th round. You know, he was clearly winded, and Maul had a relentless pace. Brandon Adams was able to keep up conditioning wise. So these are all different fights. But the one thing I like about the current scope of boxing is we're starting to get to really see the who's who and what's what. They built this WBC franchise title for Canelo. The walls are closing in. Like, it don't matter if you're an A-side or not, because now with this statement from Errol Spence, you know, Canelo's gonna have to fight somebody. You know, there's a lot of athletic black American fighters who are on his head. You know, they at his head. Errol Spence, Jamal Charlo, Demetrius Andrade, those are all terrific fights. So if he starts fighting, you know, Kovalev or Caleb Smith, or, you know, just British fighters that are out of the way and that aren't even in his immediate division, it's gonna be like, huh? And like I said, I'm not saying the Canelo Errol Spence is a foregone conclusion. It's just a good fight. I'll reserve my prediction for if they actually make the fight once I get all the particulars. Where is it going to happen? Those types of things. But you see in this particular picture, Errol Spence is next to football players. I've been around dude. He's not small. Like, he's not as small as you guys think. He's next to football players. You know, Ezekiel. If Canelo was around football players, I've seen him around other, like, athletes from other sports, and Canelo looks small. And I don't know what it is about the boxing public, but they have this so soon we forget type of mentality, and it's just insane. People forget that if you give Errol Spence no shot to give Canelo problems and or beat him, then explain Mayweather. People said Mayweather wasn't the biggest puncher. He has brittle hands. He has a totally different style. He was almost 40 years old. He was, 37, 38, whatever age he was. And he beat Canelo. And you could say, oh, Canelo is improved, which he has improved, but he still struggles with the same thing. The thing is, we're not seeing Canelo in the ring with exactly the same style in Mayweather, because there is nobody who does what Mayweather does and or has a similar style. Name somebody that has a similar style to Floyd Mayweather that Canelo has fought since Mayweather. So, this is the thing. Boxing, like I said, how soon we forget. I be on my Roy Jones shit. Y'all must have forgot. Y'all must have forgot. He ain't fought nothing even close to Floyd Mayweather type of style. Now, Errol Spence doesn't fight exactly like Floyd Mayweather, but I will say he's a youthful, American, accomplished amateur, and he brings a relentless pressure with body work. And when's the last time we've seen Canelo in there with somebody who had equivalent body work? Who's like a kind of a boxer puncher, but they have this level of aggression and they could push the fight towards you and beat up your body. Like who I'm trying to think of who he fought like that, because Erislandy Lara, as terrific as he is, he's very economical, even in lesser fights with Delvin Rodriguez and Brian Castano and stuff like that. He's leaving stuff to the imagination, making it probably closer than it should be. The fights like that, because he's reserved some of his punches. But look how Errol Spence has been fighting since the amateurs. Bow, head, body, head. Bow. Oh, he dipped the ref. That's how you know he was hurt. That man hurt. That man speared. He hit the ref with the Goldberg spear. Watch. Bow. Oh my gosh. And he tackled the ref. This is Spence. And obviously he's refined his style. Oh, look at that body work. Oh, body, head, folded. And this is how the man's been fighting. Look at that tight guard. Body. Hooks. Body. Ooh. That's what I'm saying. We haven't really seen Canelo in there with somebody, You know, it's funny because Errol Spence, I asked him in New York, and he said he grew up in a Mexican gym. You know, his first coach was Mexican before Derrick James or whatever. His coach was Mexican. So, you know, he had a lot of Mexican sparring partners and stuff. And you can see that in his style that he has like a mixture between like this athletic American style. You know, has a really good jab. He showed you that in the Mikey Garcia fight. But he also has like inside work for you. That's kind of what I think would push Canelo back. Like Danny Jacobs did better later in the fight, but needed to do probably a bit more in the beginning to make it more convincing, you know. But people, I like Canelo. I rate Canelo and all that, but people have to understand that Canelo Alvarez is not invincible at all. You know, we've seen him slow down in fights, you know, and one thing I've noticed about boxing is bullies don't like to get bullied. You know, you look at Julian J. Rock Williams versus Jarrett Hurd. The key to his fight was, to me, why he had success was because he's actually a good inside fighter, and he brought it straight to Jarrett Hurd, and Jarrett Hurd was like, you know, couldn't get the range on his punches as much. You know, got dropped down with the shorter shots. And Errol Spence, we know he presses forward, and he has a good defense. He has a jab. You know, he almost fights somewhat similar to a Canelo. You know, they both have athleticism. I think it's a good fight, man. And I commend Errol Spence for even wanting that. But with Floyd beating Canelo, Canelo having stamina issues in the Golovkin fights, and then also fights with Jacobs, you got to look at too, like this is mileage for Canelo. Errol Spence, because he was avoided, he was ducked. You know, he doesn't really have that type of mileage on him. You know, who's really just pressed the issue. We have to see what happens with Shawn Porter. He's a rough and rugged fighter, but I mean, who's he fought that really roughed him up like that? I'm telling you, Errol Spence ain't small like y'all think. But, you know, look, that's him next to Jermell Charlo. That's a 54-pounder. You know, I've seen a picture of, let's see if I can pull it up. I have it on my page. Jamal Charlo. I'm going to show you this. Canelo's not as big as y'all think. Let's see if I can find that picture. You know, I think I have it on my computer, so I'll insert it like in this. See the things I do for y'all. Make sure you guys, if you're new, consider subscribing. Oh, here it is. All right. So look at Canelo with the Charlos. There you guys go. So that's Jamal on the left, and that's Jermell on the right. Canelo in the middle. Now, when we're talking about Spence, I just showed you Spence. So that's Canelo in the middle. You know, obviously maybe he's a bit wider because he moved up to 160 since this point. He was at 55 at this, you know, when this picture was taken. Look at how big, look at Jermell. Look at how big he looks. His shoulders go up to Canelo's like mouth, and you know, Jamal looked way bigger than him, right? So that's that. And then look at Spence. I'm telling you, Spence ain't small like y'all. Look at Spence. Look at Spence width wise, and like, you know, the roundness of his face next to Jermell. He don't look tiny like Canelo. Look, I'm telling y'all. I've been around. I stood next to Canelo and I stood next to Spence. Spence ain't small. You know, he just controls his weight, cuts weight, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's a good fight. You know, Canelo's a terrific fighter. Canelo has a lot of experience. You know, it's not a give me fight for Errol. I'm not in any means suggesting that. But that's selling out in Texas for sure. That'll be, you know, that could set records. That could be like, you know, people acting like they want to see the Mayweather Canelo 2 Floyd's 40 years old and retired and shit, and fighting exhibitions and doing Ryzen Japanese promotions and stuff. Errol Spence, that's a good fight, and he's serious about it, and confidence is a motherfucker, bro. Keith Thurman, I don't think, you see him in the picture, I don't think he want to fight Errol Spence. Shawn Porter, he almost got kind of pressured to fight against Errol Spence because people were like, man, what you doing? Like, you don't want to fight Spence? Danny's not going to fight Spence. Keith, so, it might be a matter of time. And I'm not going to give away too many trade secrets, but this is like really public knowledge. I've interviewed Derrick James. Errol Spence spars with heavyweights at times. He spars with Jamel, as one of his, frequent guys that he gets working with. Jamel's at 54 already and a disastrous puncher. So, Canelo Spence ain't out of the question like that. Like, it's not what you necessarily think. But, I know this man, Jerry's World, would love to fight. Let me know what you guys think. I think it's a great fight. It'd be a big fight. I don't know the particulars with DAZN, and I think that's a pay-per-view fight. So I don't know, because Canelo kind of limited himself being on the app, like whereas Top Rank and ESPN, they could work with their fighter Tyson Fury, work with Showtime or Fox to make the Wilder fight. But with DAZN, I don't really know how that would work because Canelo is exclusive to DAZN. But to me, that's really, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. Canelo versus Spence would be a big fight. But Errol Spence said he wants to call Oscar's bluff. I would love to see it. I don't know how it would work and all that stuff. So I do think Errol would fight Canelo for sure. And I know Canelo, his team, Bernard Hopkins, have welcomed the fight, and De La Hoya. But see, this is the thing for Canelo. I've heard Canelo's team actually respond to Errol Spence, but Jamal Charlo been calling out Canelo, and it's like an afterthought. And that's the guy that's already in Canelo's division and is the WBC full champion now. So I really think, before we get too ahead of ourselves with the Spence fight, he got to get past Shawn Porter. We don't know who Canelo's fighting in September, but the walls are closing in. Canelo's going to have to fight one of these American fighters, period. That's just what it has to be. Demetrius, Andre, Charlo, maybe Spence, if that can be manifested. But he definitely should go after the people ready-made in his division, like Demetrius, Boo Boo, Andre, who look good, versus Zaleski, or Jamal Charlo, who look good, versus Brandon Adams. So, it's getting very interesting. He's going to have to earn that money with DAZN, or I don't see the fans holding on too long if Canelo ain't fighting the big names that people want to see. Because his fight with Jacobs was a unification, and it did 600,000 in the U.S. So, we're starting to see new stars emerge, and the players on the board, different ones gain more power and maybe become the face of boxing. But I like to call out. Let me know what you guys think. We working. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.